We've created just about every weather monitoring satellite. It's one of the few areas where you need an answer right now.
So you're leading the technological advancements in the field.
To give us something that hasn't been solved before, and we're really good at it. We have a very broad portfolio in our company. It goes from undersea to sea to ground to air to space.
What is the relationship with like NASA or with Elon Musk?
We compare notes, we work together, we collaborate on some things, we compete on other things. We call them competimates.
Is there anything that you can tell us about aliens?
You're listening to the NEI Pioneer Podcast. This podcast is dedicated to showing the stories and the people in the region of Northeast Indiana. Today on the podcast, we have Rob from L3Harris, who is the president of Golden Dome Strategy and Integration. If you didn't know, L3Harris is a leader in defense industries. They work to deliver technology solutions connecting space, air, land, sea, and cyber domains in the interest of national security. If you've ever used GPS, weather forecast, or flown on a plane using air traffic control, then you've used technologies developed by L3Harris. And they're headquartered right here in Fort Wayne. This company is also involved with NASA and space launches, as well as working on the Golden Dome strategy and integration. So it's safe to say that today's guest is out of this world. So stay tuned to learn more about this company and what they're working on, why they're based here in Fort Wayne, and their take on innovation in the space and defense industry. Take it away, Jonathan.
Rob, welcome. I am so happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Our friend from L3Harris and the best tour guide I've ever had.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we'll get into that in just a second. I also want to welcome today's co-host, which is Nick Dara from NEI.
Hey, happy to be here.
And VP of Partnerships and Government Relations, and a Marine.
That's correct.
So we figured it'd be a perfect intro to get you on here with both of us. So, Rob, if you don't mind talking about, telling us a little bit of the background of L3Harris. I know it's extensive. Can you just talk a little bit about the history of L3Harris?
Sure. We actually started almost 100 years ago. 1927 would have been the incorporation of a company called the Automatic Phonograph Corporation. They made phonographs. Eventually that turned into more electronics like radios. That was started by Homer Capehart, who went on to become an Indiana senator with a long career. But before that, he was a businessman, record changers, jukeboxes, popcorn poppers, lots of things. He started this company, moved it to Fort Wayne in 1929. Meanwhile, there was a gentleman named Philo Farnsworth who invented the all-electric television, the image dissector tube, which became the CRT, the cathode ray tube. After stints in RCA and Phillips, came with investors to Fort Wayne, bought out the Capehart Corporation in 1939. They started into radios before they started making TVs. World War II happened. The company started splitting their technology capability into communications and sensing. So you'll see World War II radios that were built in Fort Wayne by our company. You'll see the start of what would eventually become our space business with infrared sniper scopes for World War II. That then eventually turned into...
I didn't even know that existed back then.
Yeah. Oh. Right at the end of World War II, there were a lot of guerrilla tactics by the enemy where they would fight at night when people couldn't see and aim and shoot. So we started making these scopes that were in the infrared part of the spectrum that could see at night. That eventually led us to some space opportunities in the early 1960s. Long story short, we've created just about every weather monitoring satellite. All the satellite images you see behind the weather person, sort of on the news, are built here in Fort Wayne by us. And then more recently, we've gotten into the missile defense business, where we've won about $3 billion worth of work there with the Space Development Agency, Missile Defense Agency, other Department of Defense, Department of War customers, and now we've got this big flourishing business in space with 600 employees and a great set of missions and things that we do to protect our nation. So it's been a really great ride for us, almost 100 years.
With that many employees, what percentage of them are here in Fort Wayne?
600 all in Fort Wayne.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
The business has double that many in various parts of the country, most notably here in Indiana and in Melbourne, Florida.
So when you guys are going for these government contracts, is that a big surprise where we're located, or
It is.
Really?
Yeah, I think Fort Wayne is a well-kept secret, but it has always been the center of innovation. I mean, if you look at our history in Fort Wayne, it's been a great center of innovation, continues to be. We continue to pioneer sort of new technologies and new capabilities.
You said pioneer.
I did that on purpose.
Somebody check a box.
So I think it's important not to take away your thunder from Pioneer, but so the L3Harris business that's here in Fort Wayne, like you said, you got 600 employees here. The kind of the space business within L3Harris has 1,200 or so total, but L3Harris, the company, has many thousands of employees.
That's right. We're nearly 50,000 employees.
Right.
We're over $20 billion annual revenue. It's a big company. What's great about it is the support they provide us. It's like having a business within a business. A lot of investment in Fort Wayne by our company. Mm-hmm. We just opened a ribbon cut $125 million facility for manufacture, for scale, getting ready for what will be a continued demand signal for some of our products, both on the civil side and on the military side. We're very excited to be here, and our company's been really good to us.
Well, why is it so strategic that you guys are in the Midwest? Because you still have to go down to, I would assume, Florida to shoot the rockets.
Yeah, I think, look, the capability that's been built here over those 98, nearly 100 years is really the key. It's the talent base. It's the education base, right? Half a dozen of the nation's best technical schools, engineering schools, are within 200 miles of us.
Yeah.
We've established a 65-year business in space that's very difficult to maintain. It's certainly part of our DNA that we maintain this knowledge transfer that's continuous, and that we create a seamless transition from generation to generation of our workforce for our customers, so that they don't notice as we continue to build out our early career folks and transfer that knowledge from the later career folks. So
I think it's really telling all of the kind of transitions that have happened, whether go back to the Capehart and then ITT and then all these things that kind of, then you had Excelis and Excelis Harris and then Harris and all of these. So every time there was a merger and acquisition, the parent company recognized the value of this location and not consolidating it somewhere else. And I think you kind of touched on a lot of that with talent pipelines and the legacy and kind of ecosystem of pioneering and innovation here in Northeast Indiana. Can you talk a little bit about the shift from weather satellites, or not shift from, but the growth into missile defense and for the lay folk, why is missile defense such a hot button issue right now in defense, and where does the technology you guys have developed over time kind of fit into that? Why is it so important?
Yeah, certainly an interesting story how the weather mission from space and the missile defense mission from space are so similar, right? So we had been doing weather since the early 1960s. It's done in the infrared. It's one of the few areas where you need an answer right now, right? You need to know if that tornado is going to come in real time. You need to know the hurricane landfall prediction. You need to know whether the severe storm's coming right now. And you need to be able to analyze the atmosphere from space to be able to not only monitor but predict, right? And you need to do it in a very high data throughput. There's a lot of data that comes down from space that is done in the real time, which we refer to as low latency. And it's really about atmospherics. It's really about different heat signatures, different atmospheric phenomena, et cetera. Missile defense is a high throughput, low latency mission in the infrared as well, right? Where you need to know right now if there's a different kind of disaster coming at you, right? And so we took that sort of very deep infrared knowledge that we knew, that deep knowledge of real-time missions, that deep knowledge of a high throughput requirement, and we reapplied it to a different data product. We saw that our weather capabilities were really good at things like wildfires and volcano eruptions and what I consider smoke, plumes, fire, and movement, right? Smoke, plumes, fire, and movement also define what missiles do. And so when I came over from another business in 2018, I knew within that other business that was more sort of DoD focused, that there were unmet needs that customers on that side of the business hadn't solved yet. And when we married those unmet needs with the technology and the capability and the workforce that resided here in Fort Wayne, it was really a great match. And so what we did is had some initial investments of our own. We won a couple of studies. Those studies led to a couple of prototypes. The prototypes have now led to operational missions where we're not only building payloads and instruments, but we're building entire space vehicles and satellites, launching them, operating them. So we've moved to another mission. We've moved to a higher place on the value chain as a prime contractor, all on the backs of these great people that we have in Fort Wayne and the great technology that we develop here, the great application, really, really focused on the customer's needs rather than a technology widget. So it's been really great to be part of and watch and see us grow into that. And it's not very common, I would say, particularly in space, to just jump into another mission value space and transform your company.
Well, see, that's what I was wondering, is because is it called gain of function? I'm not sure, but if you're looking at one technology that sets the borderline for the next thing, it's almost like a stepping stone.
It is.
Where does GPS fit in with weather?
Actually, GPS is a radio frequency mission, not infrared.
Okay.
We do that too in another part of our company. So all the GPS signals you've ever gotten that help you navigate on your phone in your car come from products that we make in New Jersey. We have a similar business to this one in Rochester, New York, which I used to be responsible for, that bring you the satellite images from Apple Maps, Google Maps, that bring you visible images, not infrared. Now you're talking in the visible part of the spectrum, which is really close to where we play here, which is visible and infrared. But all those images from space that you also see on your navigation screen or on Google Maps come from cameras, digital cameras in space that we build out of Rochester. So we have a really nice portfolio of capability that's really relevant to not only consumers but our warfighters, and it's pretty awesome working for a company like that.
So with the nature of warfare kind of evolving and changing rapidly, we already talked about that a little bit, but can you talk about some of the new types of missiles that the threat that's emerging and how the importance of the mission that you guys have in defending against that, and where within, particularly, we hear the Golden Dome,
hypersonic, right?
The context of that, and understanding that there's lots of different pieces to that whole strategy. What is the threat, and where does L3Harris, and specifically the Fort Wayne L3Harris, where do you guys fit in that, in the defense against that type of
Yeah, sure.
attack?
As we were looking at our weather capabilities and thinking about what else we could be involved in terms of missions, we looked at a variety of different capabilities or threat types. Traditionally, the ballistic missiles that exist are relatively easier to warn and track against, right? They're bright objects that launch. They're bright in their flight because they use their engines to power. They don't maneuver, so they fly in a parabola. So once you know their trajectory at launch, you can calculate where they go. And our nation has used ground-based radars through much of this century and last to protect our nation against that sort of threat. What's happened recently with hypersonic glide vehicles is you create a weapon that is dim, maneuverable, and very fast, right? And the combination of those three, not any one of those three, has created a gap in our nation's defenses because ground-based radar is no longer uniquely viable to be able to deal with.
Because it can't keep up with the speed of
No, because you can fly around it through the maneuverability because you're very dim and need very high sensitivity, and because you're going fast. But the speed itself isn't it. It's really the maneuverability and the fact that it's very dim because it's gliding, right? So what we went after was the really hard mission here, and the hard mission is being able to track from space a vehicle that's gliding, and the only thing you can track is the heat signature from its friction with the atmosphere, basically.
Wow.
Right?
So what kind of speeds are we talking?
Mach 7, Mach 10, right, sort of speeds. But again, I think ICBMs go fast too.
Yeah.
Right? It's really about it being unpowered, dim, and maneuverable that really creates the challenge. And you've got to look at it in sort of a sea of background noise. You have clouds and weather and glint off of oceans and lots of things which create false signatures, right? And so you have to have onboard algorithms. You have to have more AI related capability that looks like it can help you track a target with this sort of sea of background noise in it that you have to erase.
Well, because you're talking about a signature being left by friction or pent up friction, perhaps. I'm sorry, guys, what's the name of the plane that broke the sound barrier? Chuck Yeager, right?
I don't remember the name of the plane, but yeah, Chuck Yeager.
So what they had to do is the air buildup in front of it was keeping it from getting past that, so they put that spear at the nose cone. And I'm just wondering, wouldn't something like that just reduce the friction so you still wouldn't have a signature to find it, or doesn't it work that way?
It's very dim.
Okay.
Let's just say it's very dim, but you're still looking at it from space, which isn't that close, right?
Right.
It's still hundreds of miles away.
You're 400 miles up.
Yeah.
Right?
So you're still looking at a very tough challenge, and it's the exact kind of problem that our people are really good at, right? Give us something that hasn't been solved before, and we're really good at it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I was wondering about in that vein is, how is it recruiting for these positions that you guys have? Because do you have difficulty finding people with that education level, or it just seems like that it's a very specific ask, right?
Well, let's see. 3/4 of our workforce have STEM degrees here. About a third of them have advanced degrees. So we're very well educated. I mentioned before half a dozen of the nation's top schools, so 6 out of the top 15 engineering schools in the U.S. are within about 225 miles of us. It doesn't happen like that anywhere else in the country. And out of those schools, about 20,000 engineering students graduate from those 6 schools on an annual basis. We obviously don't get the majority of them. But there's a huge talent pool for us that's Midwestern based. And whether they come out of school or whether they go to other businesses, other companies, other industries and want to come back to the Midwest at some point in their lives, we're really a company that's attractive, right? And we're attractive for a number of reasons, right? The pay scale is great. That's sort of on the transactional side. The community's great, and it's growing and it's evolving, and it's become very friendly to, I would say, sort of earlier career folks. So I love to see that in Fort Wayne. But the missions we do are really relevant. We don't make commodities. We do things that are great for our nation, and you can pick whether you want to be on the sort of the natural disaster side, on the civil side, or on the protecting the nation from our adversary side, on the
Right.
DoD side. So there are choices depending on where your love for the mission is. But we do look for people that are really customer centric, mission centric, like to collaborate, things like that. And we haven't actually had too hard of a time recruiting, right?
It's unbelievable. I would just think that, I mean, you're talking the upper echelon of brain scale. The other question I had on that was, and I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Is do you guys consult on curriculum?
Oh, we do. Yeah.
Okay, I would assume so, right? Because
Yeah, that's right.
there's a specific skill set that you're after and then to build upon. So once those people are in there and you guys are working together at L3Harris, how does experimentation work? How because if you got an education, it's got to be ongoing because the technology is moving so fast. How do they stay on top of that?
Yeah, so I'll answer your first question, which is we do talk to some of the schools in the area about curriculum, right? Purdue is sort of one of our big schools, corporate schools. We talk to them. We talk to the University of Michigan about some of their advanced degree programs.
Your alma mater.
My alma mater, about their advanced degree program in space systems, which is a really nice program. And then how do we keep up? We have internal research and development funds, which we invest our company's money to create capabilities that differentiate, that'll then help us win and meet our customers' mission needs. Our customer has research and development dollars of their own sometimes, which we bid for and win. So the combination of those things can help us sort of on the very front end of technology development, advanced capabilities development, but then winning programs too really is a teaching tool for people. As you win a program, your widget, your mission solution doesn't exist yet. Right? In many cases. In some cases, it's a production follow-on, so it exists. But in many cases, it's a development program. So you're actually designing, validating, qualifying, and then building the thing that'll be deployed in space, which is awesome, right? And it's a really great teaching tool over a number of years for people.
So you're leading the technological advancements in the field, so it's not like you have to catch up to them if your team are the ones that are
that's right.
really kind of developing.
Yeah, look, it's about differentiating, right? Catching up and with somebody that's already had a mission that they've met, and it's you just chasing after it is not a path to success for us. Us having a mission that hasn't been really met before, it's a big challenge for our nation and our customer, is the type of thing we're really good at.
I don't know how specific. First of all, this is fascinating for me. I could talk to you all day. My question is, have you ever had, I'm sure we were talking about, weather, and you're talking about some of the technologies that you use to build on that technology, right? Yeah. Is there been, and I know you can't get too specific with things like this, I think you know where I'm going. I'm wondering if there's a big disruptor in technology that happened that made you guys have to pivot. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I don't know if there's anything like that you can talk about, but obviously if you're using a technology to build on something, or you're trying to take the technology to solve a particular challenge, like is there something AI or something that's been a huge disruptor in the way that you guys have been developing?
Sure. Look, there's a couple of things. One is we sort of moved into the missile defense business because we wanted more variety in our reach. Variety in your reach gives you less dependence on singular customers, less dependence on a cyclical buying habit, and it distributes your talent and your capability across a multitude of missions. It also provides an opportunity for your workforce to keep growing in new things, right? Technology-wise, I think the biggest breakthrough for us was our ability to do processing on board in space with algorithms that could be really fast and really powerful, which gets into machine learning, a little bit into AI, certainly automation. because the sensing is one challenge, right? You're sensing in the infrared. That's sort of your one challenge. You have to actually be able to see it. But the second challenge in missile defense is you have to be able to tell whether it's a threat or not,
Right.
right? And all that is done in algorithms on board on the satellite in, a very fast timeline.
Right.
A timeline that's fast enough to actually create an effect, which is I need to do something about it. Do I need to send an interceptor to it?
Wow.
Right. And so that is a big challenge. That was part of our investment. It's an ongoing part of our investment, and it continues to be a differentiator for us now, too, in addition to the sensing part, which was already hard enough.
All right, so we've talked about investments that you guys make. So you're investing in R&D, you're investing in new technology, you're investing in your people. L3Harris is invested in Fort Wayne, physical capital. You've grown your facility.
Yeah.
Are there future growth plans in the works, or anything you can share about continuing to grow in Northeast Indiana?
Well, one thing at a time. We just opened a $125 million facility.
Right.
Yeah, but
What's next?
Yeah.
Let's get going on it.
I think the key there is, look, we did that anticipating the continued demand signal from our customers, right? And I think if you move on in your thought process to how missile defense, our business started here, and the fact that we went from study to prototype to production, and now built the building beyond that, today's needs, anticipating a continued demand signal because of things like the Golden Dome executive order that came out earlier this year. You'll know that we built for growth already, right? And so we've built for growth. I think the key for us is now let's demonstrate scale, speed, automation, a productionized environment for space assets that doesn't exist in our nation, right? Our customers have come to see what we can do from a payload build and processing and integration, and they're like, we've never seen that before in a space business. You're treating it like production.
Yeah.
And it's very unique and it's very powerful, and it will pay off for us and the nation in that we've thought ahead that space shouldn't be like a bespoke one-off garage shop that looks like a set of projects that you're just going to take your time on. It needs to be a predictable, measurable, scaled up production environment so that you can provide capability to the nation at speed. And so that's where our growth really goes, is to demonstrate that. We're demonstrating some of that now, but we've got capacity and will and talent to get more done, and that's where we need to go.
Is there any synergy between what you guys are doing with space technologies and any aquatic, so ocean builds? Is there any?
We have a very broad portfolio in our company. It goes from undersea to sea to ground to air to space.
Wow.
And we compare notes with each other.
Okay.
Right.
So there's some sort of accumulative knowledge that's.
There is. I think lessons learned are a really great tool for us. So lessons learned from one program to the next as we move from those studies and prototypes to production. Learning from the last production program to the next production phase, but learning things across the company is really important as well, and best practices we can take from there.
What is the relationship with like NASA or with Elon Musk and things like that? Because I'm assuming they've got the technology. You guys, it's hand in glove a little bit, I would assume.
Well, you're wearing a NASA jacket, so I'll answer the NASA thing.
Okay, perfect. Aren't you happy that I thought of you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do appreciate that. So NASA is actually our weather customer, right? So the National Oceanic Atmospheric Association is the end customer, and they have weather responsibility, weather forecasting, monitoring responsibility. NASA has been our direct customer, as NOAA will have NASA be sort of an oversight and a prime contractor on some of our weather instruments. So we do work with them hand in glove, particularly out of the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, although we've had experiences with, other centers as well. Yeah, and we work with and talk to new space companies too. SpaceX, other companies are part of the ecosystem of space. They're part of the industry. We compare notes. We work together. We collaborate on some things. We compete on other things. It's a healthy relationship across the industry with different companies. So.
And are some of those companies international as well? I mean, obviously not for defense, but
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, international work. We do international work in weather for Japan and South Korea. We provide them our capabilities. So we work with other companies in those countries. The U.S. collaborates with Europe on weather capability as well, among many other countries. So, yeah, there's the space industry is small, but it's also international. I would say we all sort of know each other and work with each other.
Okay. I would assume that there's some sort of frenemy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We call them competimates.
Nice.
Okay, I'll use that one in the future.
Yeah.
So if you want to work in space, you can work here in Northeast Indiana at L3Harris, right? So you want to work.
Yes. And
International,
you should, by the way, not only can.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so it's
Perfect.
yeah, and so you guys do everything here, which I think is that unique within the industry as well. From the design, the engineering, the manufacturing, and basically the only thing you don't do is launch rockets.
Yeah, that's right. So look, we've got a pretty unique approach here in that we recognize that there are experts on lots of things in our industry. So we tend to be really good at architecting solutions, and then we take a best athlete approach and get our supply chain involved in the things they're very good at. So we have local supply chains, we have national supply chains, we have partnerships, we have other parts of our company that contribute as well. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we're completely vertically integrated in Fort Wayne. But that system architecture that comes out of the thought process of our workforce is awesome, and it really drives that thought, that thinking that says, we can use a capability from this other part of our company that would really differentiate us. We can use that other capability from this subcontractor that would differentiate us, and create a differentiated product and a good product and a predictable product. And then our job is to make sure it all works together, and that we bring it together, we manufacture it, we test it, we validate it, we deploy it, we can stand behind it, and our reputation is secure. So I think it's a really nice approach that we have. Some companies would vertically integrate everything and say we can do everything better than anyone else. We're not exactly like that. We give others a chance to really contribute, and if they can prove themselves, we let them contribute. If they don't and we can do it better, we'll do it.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything that you can tell us about aliens?
No, there's nothing.
Darn it. All right, I was true for that one. So what's your favorite part of the job?
Oh, I really, really love interfacing with customers, with people, and thinking about mission gaps. What does the customer need that no one's ever solved before? Love interfacing with our team on that. I'll tell you, the Midwestern work ethic, attitude, approach to problem solving, collaboration is very unique. I've really enjoyed working with the team here. And that's very fulfilling, actually, when you all sort of step into a problem together. You're all dedicated to it. You're all focused on mission and customer. Really gratifying.
Yeah, I got to tell you, when we were taking the tour with you and we were walking around, everybody in that office, I was thinking of the brain power that must be in there. I can't imagine the cumulative IQ that you guys have.
It's humbling, actually.
Yeah,
how smart
it certainly was for us walking through there. It was incredible. So when you're talking about the things that you've done and leading to this this job that you've got now.
Yeah.
Is what if, just out of curiosity, what if you couldn't do that job? What do you think you would have been? What way would you have gone with your career?
Oh gosh. So I studied engineering. I thought about going into law for a while.
Yeah.
Right out of school, I decided that wasn't going to be the way to do it. I was an engineer for a while, but I knew I wanted to be on the business end of it.
Sure.
So,
But you still have to keep up with the tech.
Oh yeah, it's very, very useful. And I will tell you, most of our business leaders have a technical background because it does help. Our customers are often leaders in their field at the programmatic level, at the leadership level also. So you can't come in as an empty suit, not know your tech, not know your differentiators, not know the mission, and expect to really have a collaborative dialogue. You really need to know it. And you have to feel some of the challenges our employees feel as well. And having done it is really helpful in feeling those challenges so you can help solve some of those problems.
What would you say keeps you up at night for, whether it's the business or the threat? Is there something that really concerns you?
Well, the threat is palpable. I think if you look at sort of the big threats from a military side, China wants to be a preeminent economic and military capability in the world. If you track what they've built up in terms of advanced weapons, advanced capabilities, it's staggering. Russia is demonstrating them in conflict, some of these advanced weapons. Iran has demonstrated, launching over 500 drones and missiles at any one time. North Korea is flying ICBMs over sovereign nations like Japan. So that should worry us, and that should, I think, drive us to think about how do we deter a threat to our nation. Weather is obviously really important, like absolutely important to us, and the way it impacts our daily lives and the way it impacts our neighbors and in severe storms that could happen in long-term weather phenomena that we're seeing. You want to get better at that, not only from a safety standpoint, but from a practical standpoint. I want to know when to take my umbrella out in the morning, right, in my car. So there's something interesting about that and challenging about those things. In the workplace, what keeps me up is making sure that we have a very predictable capability for our customers, that we can leverage and maintain our reputation while serving their needs, and having that be predictable from a business standpoint so that our workforce can be comfortable with their future.
Wow. Yeah. And so we're winding down now. We're going to get into the rapid wrap-up in just a second. Oh. But surprise.
Sounds fun.
But, I'm kind of wondering, with you heading up the Golden Dome,
yes.
So this conversation has been going on, at least since I can remember it, with Star Wars, with Reagan, right?
Yeah.
So as you're building on this technology, and that was in the early 80s, I think.
It was.
Maybe it was something was around before that. How far do you think we are? It feels like we just scratched the surface on space. But you tell me. I mean, how far along do you think we are? Is there just like big surprise after big surprise after frontier after frontier? How is that working? Like, do you feel like we're getting further faster, or is space just this big anomaly that we're not quite there yet?
No, I think, look, in the 80s, it was a question of how do you develop the technology to make that a reality?
Because it didn't exist.
It did not exist. Today's problem is how do you integrate the technology to make that a reality? Because a lot of the things that we talked about in the 80s are here, right?
Yeah.
Or are right around the corner. So there are some things that you can integrate that exist now. We've demonstrated things in space that are like ready now, shovel ready. They're in the executive order as just accelerate this, right?
Wow.
References some of our capabilities. There are some things that need some more development. But I think the biggest challenge isn't technology development like it was in the 80s is technology integration as a sort of a systems of systems, as an architecture, because you have to make decisions very fast now,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that's the biggest challenge.
So, Rob, I can't thank you enough for being here. And like I said, it was so enlightening for me to see all the things that you guys have going on over at your campus there. Very impressive stuff. We're going to get into the rapid wrap-up with Nick here in a second. But thank you again so much for joining us. Just really interesting stuff, and it's all happening here, which makes it even cooler.
Well, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed this today.
That's one of the really fun things about having L3Harris in our backyard is our job is to brag about Northeast Indiana and all
Exactly.
the cool things that happen here. So when we can have a marquee company like yours doing the type of work that is being done, the innovative, pioneering, market-leading work that is happening, it really helps us do our job better about
Very much so.
talking about Northeast Indiana and getting on the radars of people and companies when they're trying to come here. So it's been really fun to learn more about your company. And
well, look, I think the best press that you could get is press that others do, right? It's not the press that you write yourself. It's not the press releases.
It's the third-party advocacy.
Yeah, and we had one of the best ones this past year was Senator Banks in the Oval Office talking about us in Fort Wayne and how we'll help in the Golden Dome for America implementation. And, I think that for me was a great moment, and it really goes to show you how important the workforce here and the things we do are for our nation. So.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
All right, so we have at the end of every show, we have a rapid wrap-up. So I'm going to hit you with a couple of quick questions about Northeast Indiana and yourself a little bit. And so there's no real rules. You can take as much time as you want, but we try to make it quick, okay?
All right.
So
We're going to time you on this, Rob.
I'm going to be long.
Okay.
here we go. Are you more of a lake person or a hiking person?
First of all, I'm an and person, not an or person.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to tell you about and, right?
Fair enough.
I like the lake, but not sort of the local lake life. If it's a lake scene for me, it's driving to Lake Michigan, right? Seeing the sunset, having a meal close to the water, or going to Ontario in the wilderness with my boys and going fishing. That's sort of the lake scene for me. Hiking happens when we're on vacation doing something else because I need to do stuff when we're on vacation. So
Show at the embassy or show at the Clyde?
And
I think it depends on your mood.
I'll just sit over there and answer with you.
Q in the Cold Fusion at the club room at the Clyde, followed by an off-Broadway show at the embassy.
Awesome.
Okay.
Favorite local restaurant?
I've got lots of them. So it depends on what you want. Farm to table, you go to Tolan. You want bistro scene, you go to Bistro Noda. You want tenderloin sandwich, you go to Nick's Kitchen in Huntington. You want wood-fired steak.
You are an and guy.
Yeah, you go to Black Canyon, or you go to maybe Auburn City Steakhouse. Go to Northeastern
regional,
Indiana.
There we go. Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. You want sushi, you go to Asakusa, close to our work.
Yeah.
Right. You want a Wagyu burger, you go to Joseph Taqui Emporium.
Yep.
Okay.
Right?
Awesome.
I got a whole list.
I was gonna say,
I got a whole list.
That's very good. Yeah. Favorite launch you've experienced?
Favorite launch was probably the one on Valentine's Day in 2024 when we launched our first 5 satellites at once.
Ooh.
Right? That's very cool.
Yeah.
That one came with a sort of returning booster from SpaceX, which was kind of cool too. But if you see a night launch for weather that goes to geostationary orbit with a heavy, it's fantastic, right? You can feel that in your chest when it's launching, and particularly at night, it's a fabulous scene.
When we were looking at some of the launches on your phone,
Yeah.
and I could see it shaking in there, and you were how far away?
Far.
Wow, unbelievable.
Other than launches, favorite place that you've traveled for work?
Tokyo, Japan for some weather business, and earlier in my career, London, England, and the surrounding area. Those were really, really interesting places to go. Understand the culture, understand the culture of business within those places and how they do things similarly and differently. Shockingly, and in London, you would think that we have so much in common with our language, with the English. There are so many things to learn about the difference between the Queen's English and American English and the way you communicate. And in Japan, it's just a fantastic culture, and they're great customers, and I've really enjoyed it there.
Awesome. Well, that's our wrap-up questions.
That's it. Thanks again, Rob. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.